Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I am pleased to call this Organization Day meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. For those of you who have not had the pleasure to attend before, I'm Catherine Schad, the Chief Administrative Officer of the city, and I will be leading this meeting until we have elected a City Council President. The first item on the agenda is the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Excellent. Councillor McKnight, and seconded by Councillor Bergman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries unanimously. The second item is the oath of office for both newly elected and re-elected city councilors. And for this item, I will turn it over to Mayor Mulvaney-Stanek.
Thank you, CAO Schad. Will the following city councilors and city councilors-elect join me in the center of this open table, please? So Milo Grant, Mark Barlow, Ali Schechter, and Buddy Singh. I can be really low. Okay, so raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, I,
Milo Grant,
do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Councilor to the best of my judgment and ability according to law. Congratulations.
Congratulations, councilors. The next item on the agenda is the Mayor's State of the City Address. So I am pleased to turn the mic back over to Mayor Mulvaney-Stanek so we can hear about her first year in office.
Thank you so much. Friends, neighbors, and guests, good evening. It brings me great joy to welcome you to City Hall's Contois Auditorium, whether here in person or joining us virtually. As you arrive this evening, you may have noticed the new portraits of Burlington's youth, which add more vibrancy to this space. They're up on the walls around us here if you're watching from home. I welcome you to City Hall to see them in person. It is my hope that these portraits will remind us about why we are all here today, to lead this city forward, and to set an example for our young people and lay the foundation for a Burlington that they can be proud to call home. I want to thank our Burlington City Arts team, led by Director Doreen Kraft, for her hard work in bringing this idea to life. Let me congratulate our district city councilors Milo Grant and Mark Barlow on their re-elections, and newly elected councilors Buddy Singh and Ali Schechter. Welcome and thank you for stepping up to serve our community in this critical moment when we have such important and compelling work to do. I also want to thank Councillor Joan Shannon, who I saw up in the balcony, there she is, for her more than 2 decades of service to our city, and former Councillor Tim Doherty, who continues to serve this community now as a Superior Court judge here in Chittenden County. I also want to share deep gratitude to my family, my wife Megan, and our kids Ruby and Elliot. When an individual runs for office, the entire family serves. And Megan, I can't even look at you, so don't look at me. Thank you for doing an amazing job being a co-parent, especially in this last year, and doing your best to ground me every single day in this job. The morning of the mayoral election last year in March 2024, you left me a Post-it note on the bathroom mirror that said, "No matter what happens, you did something brave." I do love a good Grey's Anatomy moment like that. If you know, you know. But in all seriousness, I've looked at that Post-it many days in this first year in office. Thank you very much for being my person. And to Elliot and Ruby, who could not be here today, I thank you for embracing our village of babysitters, of Sustainability Academy families, and your grandparents for helping me and helping your mamba, Megan, be able to do the public service that we do every day. Being a mom mayor with 2 kids under 10 is really not for the faint of heart. It's incredibly hard, and yet you remind me every single day of why I'm doing this incredibly important work, and I love you deeply. And now just a quick word about chosen family. When you run for office, when you have the privilege of running as the mayor of Burlington, you get to surround yourself with a small but mighty team. And I want to personally thank Aaron Jacobson, Joe McGee, and Sinead Murray, who are part of my amazing mayoral staff. You walked into this office not knowing what this job would be about. Your dedication is incredible to see on a daily and hourly basis. I went to a mayor's training, and they talked often about how mayors need to be fed and cared, and that is literally what you do every single day, and by extension, supporting my family so I can do this work. You are so smart and capable, and this city is should be incredibly grateful for your service by my side. As a labor mayor, one of my first thank yous really needs to go to our incredibly big and important city employee team, all who come to work every day with a true commitment to the Queen City and her residents. Burlington is facing unprecedented and complex challenges, and hearing your experiences, your needs, and your ideas has been invaluable to me. Whether during ride-alongs and snowplows, by the way, watch out for the grease if you get into one of those things, it's real, our police cruisers, or in one-on-one conversations every day, I want you to know that your work is recognized and deeply appreciated. We are truly in this together. I want to give a special thank you to the department heads joining me here tonight, who played a crucial role in my first year as mayor. I also thank those department heads who have since moved on to other opportunities. Former Director of Human Resources, Karen Durfee, former Planning Director, Megan Tuttle, and former Director of the Office of Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, Kim Carson. And I want to acknowledge those who stepped up to do interim leadership roles this year. Again, Karen Durfee, and also Pitt Keomavan, who served as interim directors of REIB during significant periods of transition in 2024. Christian Berry, our current interim director of REIB, who has been a steady and thoughtful leader as we clarify the purpose and vision of REIB's office, while recognizing the significant work left undone from the past and urgent work facing us today. And also interim HR Director Lynn Reagan, who this year has ably led the city team in union negotiations and our HR staff in supporting 750 city employees across 18 different departments. I want to take a moment to celebrate our City Attorney, Jessica Brown, who joined our leadership team in August of 2024 as the first Black woman to serve as Burlington's City Attorney. Like, I don't know where you sit. You sit next to me every time we're here, sorry. Attorney Brown has brought steady leadership to this critical role, and I benefit daily from your wisdom and sound counsel, and our city is truly lucky to have you. Last summer, I appointed Laura Wheelock to serve as our city engineer. Laura is the first woman to serve in this role, and she continues to be an effective leader as our city manages large infrastructure projects like Champlain Parkway and Great Street Main Streets. As the first woman and first out LGBTQ+ mayor in Burlington's history, I am dedicated to diversifying our leadership team and our workforce to reflect the beautiful diversity of our entire city. I also want to extend gratitude to Planning Director Charles Dillard, who stepped into interim leadership role and now serves as our permanent director of the Office of City Planning. It is a proud moment when we are able to elevate talented employees from within. And in this case, both Charles and Laura, and I will continue to value this as mayor. Today, we wish Chief John Murad well as he concludes 6.5 years of service to the Queen City. Chief Murad has led the Burlington Police Department through a truly challenging period, and I thank him for continuing his service through the first year of my administration. 2 weeks ago, we welcomed Chief Sean Burke back to Burlington to serve as interim police chief as we engage in a thoughtful national search for the next leader of the BPD. I look forward to our partnership in the months ahead as we rebuild the officer ranks, support the morale of our entire BPD team, and redesign our community safety response system so it is more effective and responsive to residents. Welcome back, Chief Burke, and thank you for answering the call to serve in this pivotal moment of the city. On June 30th of this year, we will wish a bittersweet farewell to Fire Chief Michael LaChance as he enters retirement. Chief LaChance, please know, don't make me cry again, but Chief LaChance, please know how incredibly grateful I am for your wisdom, your guidance, and your support for me as a new mayor. Thank you for your partnership and for your 26 years of dedicated service to the BFD, the city, and the people of Burlington. We will share more about this important leadership transition in early May and how our community can thank you. And to the many residents who serve on our boards and commissions, our MPA steering committees, and more, thank you for your time, energy, and care that you dedicate to these roles. My final thank you must go to the many caring community members who have stepped up to serve as my advisors in this first year. First during the mayoral transition, and then later on specific issues including the fiscal year 25 budget, community safety, tax fairness, and the climate. Burlingtonians are engaged, passionate, and ready to help. Thank you so much for that. As I reflect on my first year as mayor, I am proud to say that our city is truly resilient. There is so much exciting and meaningful work underway, and we have shared so many wonderful moments together in this last year. Almost a year ago today, we came together for a celestial moment, the eclipse, and you can see this beautiful BCA exhibit outside in the lobby there, and I encourage you to check that out. It was put together by our BCA team. We had clear skies that day, and I have to say 6 days into the job at the time, I was kind of hoping for clouds, but we had clear skies, and therefore we welcomed thousands of people to the Queen City. And because I had been on the job for 6 days, I had no idea what I had signed up for, and yet on that day, I fielded live interviews on MSNBC alongside Bill Nye, the science guy, and international media requests from Telemundo, who all were in town for this wonderful event. And I literally kept checking myself, what is this job exactly? And yet at the end of the day, this was Burlington at its best, full of celebration, full of community, and full of togetherness. My first term is guided by 3 core priorities: community safety, housing, and climate. Last summer, I worked with all 18 department heads to set goals for their teams that align them with these priorities while ensuring that our collective work reflects the values of equity, good governance, transparency, and affordability. As a former community organizer and state policymaker, I know a coordinated strategy and clear vision is critical for advancing priorities, especially complex and nuanced ones. Our department heads, division directors, and their staff have embraced this vision, and I am proud of the work we have accomplished together in this first year. We've prioritized fiscal responsibility through policy development and smarter capital planning. We've invested in community safety, rebuilding our police department, and exploring models from other cities. We've been clear-eyed in confronting the housing crisis with a focus on robust code enforcement, commitment to public-private partnerships, and continued improvements to our affordable housing policies. And we have maintained our status as a leader in forward-looking climate policy. We certainly have much more ahead of us in the coming year, and I look forward to this next year of growth and innovation. I take the fiscal stewardship of our city very seriously, and my administration has prioritized improved fiscal policy and budgeting practices that ensure affordability, equity, and fiscal sustainability now and into the future. This fiscal year, we delivered a balanced budget to the City Council that maintained core services and also added $675,000 in funding for community safety. When I came into office last April, we faced a significant $14.2 million budget gap. Addressing this was no easy task as a mayor with 4 weeks on the job. It took deep collaboration with CAO Catherine Shad, her team at the Clerk Treasurer's Office, and department heads to immediately take a second pass at already developed budgets. We engaged community budget advisors and spent countless hours preparing a balanced budget to reduce expenses and raise revenue without placing the entire burden on residential taxpayers. The City's Council's unanimous approval of that budget demonstrated our ability to collaborate and solve challenges together. CAO Shad, this would not have been possible without your very capable leadership. Thank you. Our city budget must reflect our values and priorities as a city, which is why I made sure that 5 full-time staff positions in the Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Office were moved from uncertain one-time funding into permanent funding within our general fund in my first year. This department deserves and requires stability, continuity, and clarity, especially in this moment, as the federal administration carries out attacks on DEI work, threats to the LGBTQ+ community, and targeted action against immigrants and refugees. We here in Burlington will stand firm in our commitment to equity and justice for all people. We are rebuilding the REIB and will be hosting the director position this month and staffing up with program managers later this spring and early summer. In this fearful time, we must have a fully staffed REIB to carry out this office's critical purpose. The office is charged with advancing equity and social justice, championing diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and anti-racism, and enhancing representation in city government through decision-making bodies, community engagement initiatives, and policy development processes. This is the time to be vocal and clear to our BIPOC, immigrant, refugee, trans, and LGBTQ+ community members that Burlington is your home and that your community and your mayor stands by you. Affordability is on all of our minds, and I'm glad my administration worked hard this winter to determine we could build our budget without a general tax rate increase for the upcoming fiscal year. This was hard work for our city staff and departments. I've asked our team to start the budgeting process 2 months earlier than in years past, knowing that we were proposing 3 significant bonds on town meeting day, while also paying down the debt of our new high school. And I appreciate Claire being here, our chair of our local school board. It's a strong partnership. Due to our city charter and other past practices, structural challenges and annual budget gaps remain inherent to our city budget. My administration is working to mitigate these impacts and to build sustainable best practices into our future budgets. To make our municipal tax structure fairer and more equitable, I launched a tax fairness working group in January, led by City Assessor Joe Turner, and comprised of community members, city councilors, and city staff. I look forward to receiving their policy recommendations early this summer. I've also directed our 2 municipal utilities, the Burlington Electric Department and Water Resources, to expand our existing affordability programs and incentives to serve and reach more people in the coming year. The coming 2 months will require deep collaboration as we face difficult choices to balance the fiscal year 26 budget. Some of these choices will result in a reduction in some programs, services, and staffing, as we work to develop a city government that is sustainably funded and focused on delivering core services. This has been incredibly difficult work, yet it is the responsible approach to our fiscal challenges. Over the next 2 months, we will continue to thoughtfully engage the 4 city unions, the employees, and the City Council as we develop this budget together. Our Modern Gov initiative started last fall and led by Chief Innovation Officer Scott Barker will help create a municipal government structure that is right-sized, more fiscally sustainable, and more effective. Modern Gov will not solve our fiscal woes alone, but it will create much smarter government. We will soon implement phase 1 on a pilot basis, creating the Department of Finance and Administration. This new department, DFA, will be the home to the core internal and external functions of our city, including the city assessor, human resources, innovation, and technology. Under this new structure, we will also centralize general fund accounting, ensuring consistent application of policies and practice, better stewardship of city resources, and more effective revenue collection. This past town meeting day, voters approved 3 significant bonds: the $20 million general obligation bond, which earned 75% support, and $20 million water bond and $152 million lake bond, both of which earned over 80% support. I truly want to thank voters. This is a true investment in our future, as well as Burlington's present, and this is a true affirmation that we are doing the right thing, investing in critical infrastructure here in our city. The general obligation bond will allow us to address crucial deferred maintenance needs in our city fleet and facilities, our streets, our sidewalks, and will help us meet our community safety and climate goals. I want to thank the many staff, especially Capital Program Director Ashley Parker, who worked tirelessly in so many MPA meetings to communicate those capital needs to the public. And we will continue to keep the public updated on the use of those bond funds. The $152 million lake bond will support a generational investment in our wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, led by DPW Director Chapin Spencer and Division Director Megan Moyer, which will continue creating additional capacity to support housing growth and ensure Burlington is doing our part to keep the lake clean. And the $20 million water bond will ensure our drinking water system is resilient, maintaining water service to our entire community, including the UVM Medical Center, our region's only level 1 trauma center. As a former labor organizer, I know that strong relationships are essential for good policy and for a healthy community. Over the past year, I have held 36 weekly mayor meetups, drinking a lot of coffee and eating a lot of bagels, visiting a different area of the city each week to speak directly with our residents. We've held 4 bi-monthly public forums on community safety issues, and we've convened dozens and dozens of meetings with various stakeholder groups to listen and learn from their experiences here in our city. We've met with faith leaders, business owners, frontline workers, nonprofit service providers, and civic leaders. This extensive direct engagement with community members has already made me a better mayor, and I thank everyone for their time. 1 year ago, I shared that community safety would be my top priority as mayor, and tonight I renew that commitment with pride in the progress we have made, and optimistic about what lies ahead as we continue our work to create an effective and responsive community safety system. Last summer, I convened a diverse group of 30 community safety advisors to talk about what a safer Burlington would look like to them, and to ask for 6 recommendations the city could implement to make our immediate improvements. These recommendations included increase safe access to public bathrooms, improve regional coordination with courts and the state's attorney's office, use data to inform staffing and response coordination, staff the entrance at the Burlington Police Department, and improve public information on who to call for what when you need help, and finally, improving case coordination among city departments and partner organizations. I'm really proud to report that we have made progress on many of these recommendations by updating and widely distributing the city's comprehensive safety and security guide. We successfully created the BPD front entrance position with the council approval and now have a robust pool of applicants and will make a hire very soon. We also started a rapid response pilot project in partnership with the Community Justice Center to address antisocial behaviors at the library, working in partnership with the new patron service specialist position that we created with special strategic funding in the fiscal year 25 budget. We spent the winter remodeling our community stat program, or ComStat, and we'll be relaunching that this spring to convene community partners to advise and improve, meaning take action, on public health policy initiatives. And finally, I'm pleased to announce that we will soon launch a new intense case coordination tool called the Situation Table, modeled after communities in Canada and in Boston to address the individuals causing the most harm and are at the highest risk in our city. On Town Meeting Day, for the second time in recent history, voters overwhelmingly approved a charter change to ban firearms in bars and restaurants, this time with an astounding 86.6% of the vote. This sends a very clear message to the Vermont legislature. Burlington needs, whether through local authority or state law, common sense gun safety policy that will help make our downtown safer. Our commitment to community safety means safety for all of our neighbors. This winter, with as many as 250 people sleeping unsheltered on any given night, the City of Burlington partnered with CVOEO to operate an extreme cold weather shelter on nights when the wind chill dropped to -10 degrees or below. This was a stretch for the city and our partners, and I am deeply grateful to all of you who put up your hand to help us with this life-saving effort. This was the right thing to do. I especially want to thank Sarah Russell, Burlington's special assistant. She should get a shout out. No, there she is. And you thought you could hide. I often say she has a harder job than being the mayor of Burlington, the special assistant to end homelessness. She led this effort on behalf of the city with grace and professionalism. Thank you, Sarah. Again this month, we are seeing too many Vermonters pushed out of the motel program and onto the street. This repeated cycle of mass exits from the state motel program continues to strain shelter and service providers and places an undue burden on communities like Burlington. I'm grateful that 10 city councilors and Superintendent Flanagan joined me last month to call on the governor to keep vulnerable Vermonters sheltered until a real policy solution is developed. Last year, the state legislature adopted Act 178, authorizing and funding the creation of an overdose prevention center here in Burlington. In the fall, I hired Teresa Vizina to lead the city's OPC implementation work. And last month, we proudly announced Vermonters for Criminal Justice Reform as the city's partner on this project. VCJR brings decades of public health and harm reduction experience in support of this life-saving work. In the coming months, the city and VCJR will collaborate on conducting a service assessment, engaging the community, providing education, and assessing possible locations. While we bring new public health tools online, it's important to recognize the dedicated work of our first responders. I am proud of Burlington's firefighters who continue to find new and innovative ways to adapt their response to the needs of our community. In last year's fiscal budget, or this year's fiscal year budget, fiscal year 25, we found funding to continue BFD's Community Response Team, or CRT. This is an alternative overdose response model that emphasizes community outreach and connection. And last year, the BFD launched the Prevent Initiative, a first-in-the-nation program that allows all certified EMTs to administer buprenorphine in the field. I also want to take this moment and ask you to join me in expressing gratitude to the hardworking members of the Burlington Police Department. I have spoken at length with Chief Burke about the immediate goals for the department, including rebuilding the ranks of the department, assessing our strategies for recruitment and retention, and improving the morale and effective use of sworn and professional staff within the BPD. Our rank and file officers and professional staff are clearly dedicated to our community. Thank you for the work you do every single day. I had the privilege in early January to do a ride-along with Officer John Meyer-Dirks, and he had the great privilege of riding along on a very quiet night with the mayor for 4 hours, the poor soul. It was a quiet night. We went until 2 a.m., and we spent a lot of time dialoguing, and I was so impressed with his nuanced understanding of what was happening here in Burlington. He used to work at the Howard Center, and his analysis was so spot on. He understood that when there are unmet basic needs, like basic functions of affordable and sustainable housing, when there's broken accountability systems, and most importantly, untreated mental health care, this creates the conditions for which Burlington is facing today. A city where policing today is so different than it was 20 years ago. This officer really, to me, represents the type of officers we need to focus on recruiting who understand the nuance of what a community safety system needs to be about. In February, I also did a walk-along, mostly, with the firefighters part of the CRT program. I walked along with firefighters Brad Lombard and Norm Nault, hope I said that right, and we walked all over the downtown, visiting service providers, building relationships, connecting with folks, and building trust. Building trust takes time. It takes effort. It takes patience. Their judgment-free work in the field, offering resources and conversation and connection, was impressive. People clearly appreciated the care and even opened up candidly about their struggles with substance use disorder or lack of housing. This is the combination of our first responders. And again, I want to emphasize the care and professionalism they take to the field every single day. Earlier this year, one of our police officers encountered a dangerous situation at our police headquarters when arriving to begin shift. This was preventable, and we are working quickly to address the longstanding request by the Burlington Police Officers Association to install a fence around the uniformed service parking lot and entrance. This work would not be possible without our continued partnership with the Pomelo family. Thank you so much. And we are also well underway with planning for Burlington's future community health and safety needs. I'm grateful for the ongoing work of my senior advisor on community safety, Ingrid Jonas, who is working diligently to develop recommendations to better coordinate our health and safety responses as a city and with our service providers. Together, we have built important relationships with mayors and city staff in communities like Albuquerque, New Mexico, St. Paul, Minnesota, and Boston, Massachusetts, and more to understand and are working more to understand their experiences improving the safety in their own communities. I am also grateful for the strong relationships we have had with local partners like UVM Medical Center and Howard Center, and I look forward to their continued engagement in our discussions around Burlington's current and future health and safety needs. Our central fire station and police headquarters no longer meet the needs of our first responders. And in keeping with my vision for a comprehensive community safety system, I've asked our city team to explore the creation of a state-of-the-art public health and safety building in the downtown. This will meet our current needs while also offering flexibility for what we may need in the future. I'm grateful for the City Council's early support of this vision, authorizing funding for site feasibility and conceptual design work. Together, we will accomplish a safer and healthier Burlington. So I can just drink water. Like free water. I have to drink water, so I appreciate that. All right. My second priority in my first term is ensuring that our city has ample, safe, and affordable housing of all kinds. Draft housing targets created by the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission estimate that Burlington will need to develop upwards of 11,000 new units of housing by 2050. If achieved, this would represent a more than 50% increase in the total number of housing units in Burlington. This is a formidable number, but we have lived far too long in a city that has inadequately addressed our housing crisis, especially affordable housing. The time is now to prioritize housing as a human right and basic need. I want to thank former Mayor Moreau Weinberger for his leadership in this area and the key policy changes made during his administration that will help us reach this goal, including the South End Innovation District and the Neighborhood Code. Since the adoption of the Neighborhood Code last March, 35 new units have been permitted and another 10 are being processed, which would not have been possible without this policy change. This is promising progress, and in the coming months, my administration will be working on public education to help homeowners better understand what might be possible on their own property under the Neighborhood Code. This was an idea shared by a community member at a recent South End Mayor meetup. Additionally, we will continue with the next phase of Neighborhood Code zoning amendments, and which will create new housing options, including row houses, pocket neighborhoods, and planned unit developments, all of which will help us create a more sustainable and equitable city. And while we work to facilitate more housing growth of all kinds, my administration will prioritize making perpetually affordable units a significant portion of new housing developments. The economic diversity of our city is part of what makes our community special, and we cannot pursue growth at the expense of working families. At the heart of this housing work will be our inclusionary zoning ordinance. We will propose ways to strengthen the impact of this ordinance this spring to increase the production of more affordable housing. We will also continue to leverage the Housing Trust Fund led by CEDO Director Brian Pine to invest city dollars into building more affordable rentals and home ownership opportunities, like we did in the most recent round of grants awards, which were totaled $1.5 million granted to Champlain Housing Trust for projects at Cambrian Rise. Over the next year, we will continue to advance key public-private partnerships in the downtown and in the South End in an effort to create hundreds of new homes. We are making progress with the goal of redeveloping the Memorial Block, bringing more housing, commercial, and civic space, and unlocking even more vibrancy into our downtown. And later this month, we will see the first conceptual designs of this project, an exciting moment. As mayor, I am deeply committed to retaining ownership of our public lands, while recognizing that through collaborative public-private partnerships, underutilized city land can be leveraged for the public good. Similarly, we're making progress in the South End coordinated redevelopment, coordinated redevelopment, which upon completion will turn what is currently acres of surface parking into a new mixed-use, car-light neighborhood for over 1,000 households of all incomes. We hope to bring a comprehensive development agreement forward for consideration by the council this summer. And while we work to increase the housing supply, we must also continue robust code enforcement efforts, holding absentee landlords and vacant building owners accountable and ensuring our existing housing stock is safe and livable. Our permanent inspections team, led by Director Bill Ward, has made considerable progress in the past year, completing 588 initial rental inspections and over 1,000 follow-up inspections to confirm deficiencies at those properties were corrected. DPI staff also addressed 103 complaints related to minimum housing standards. Our DPI team is working currently with our city attorney's office to identify additional tools for enforcement on long-standing blighted vacant properties in the coming weeks. And I hope the City Council's Ordinance Committee will prioritize my administration's proposal to strengthen our vacant building ordinance by increasing the penalties for properties that the longer they sit idle. Burlington has long been a leader in advancing innovative climate policy, and with the federal government threatening to pull us backwards, we are leading in further and doubling down on our commitment to create a climate-resilient community. On March 27th, I convened the first meeting of the Mayor's Community Advisors on Climate. This group will use a 12-page inventory of existing climate-forward work already underway in the city as a starting point. And at the end of their process, they will offer recommendations on where the city can improve our climate mitigation and adaptation work so we can be a more climate-resilient community. During my first year as mayor, I have worked with the team at Burlington Electric, led by General Manager Darren Springer, to further make progress on electrifying our transportation and building energy sectors. Last fall, we advanced a new $20 million net zero energy revenue bond that will help expand grid capacity for further innovations. The Trump administration has frozen funds that would support big investments in EV charging infrastructure, but this will not stop us. And I, as mayor, will continue to fight alongside BED to release those federal dollars and get us back on track to lessen our dependency on fossil fuel for transportation. BED also continues to make progress to improve the environmental footprint of McNeil plant while supporting our workforce and providing reliable power for Burlington's ratepayers. We are actively negotiating with the other joint owners of McNeil to explore the possibility of Burlington's sole ownership of the plant, which would, over time, enable us to leverage the plant and site to innovate, such as reducing stack emissions and pursuing battery storage on site to reduce the use of the plant during peak times. And last year, our team at the Patrick Leahy Burlington International Airport, led by Director Nick Longo, received a Level 1 Airport Carbon Accreditation rating, achieved by mapping the airport's carbon footprint and tracking emissions. Leahy BTV stands out as the second airport in New England to achieve this rating, and they will continue to work over the next year to attain a Level 2 accreditation by effectively managing carbon emissions and working to further reduce the carbon footprint at the airport. I am proud of the work that we are doing to maintain Burlington as a vibrant, economically diverse city, and continue to be grateful that local partners are investing in Burlington's success. There are many projects underway that will contribute to the vibrancy of our city, even if those results are not fully visible yet. Over the coming months, you will begin to see new life in our downtown, starting on Bank Street this July. We will celebrate the opening of City Place Phase 1, bringing 53 new housing units, 161 hotel rooms, and new commercial space on the street level. And soon we'll begin to see outside activity on the site of the former Y, where they're nearing completion on the interior demolition and will move on to demolish the back portion of the building in preparation to develop that cherished community asset into 79 new housing units. In order to achieve the substantial housing growth we expect in the coming years, we will need to expand our workforce in the construction trades. Our business and workforce development team, led by Director Kara Alaswari, is leveraging $1.3 million in raised grants. It's not a crying baby this time, it's just sneezing. But is leveraging our $1.3 million in raised grant funding to support a recently launched construction and weatherization job training program in partnership with Resource, Vermont Adult Learning, and Vermont Works for Women, which aims to train up over 200 people over the next 3 years. In the coming construction season, we will continue to make progress on key infrastructure projects, Great Street Main Streets and the Champlain Parkway. In addition to creating a modern streetscape and enhanced pedestrian and bike amenities, Great Street Main Streets will upgrade our aged subsurface infrastructure and see the 150-year-old ravine sewer abandoned and filled. We appreciate your patience, as this important underground work will facilitate the creation of much-needed housing in the downtown core, including Champlain Housing Trust Post Apartments, which I just noticed walls going up today, on the old site of the old VFW building. This will bring 38 perpetually affordable apartments and space for new VFW Post and Burlington's Community Justice Center. We expect this to open in late winter, early spring of 2026. This year, we will commence an 18-month process to update Burlington's comprehensive plan, and for the first time, the Office of City Planning will partner with Departments of Public Works, Parks, and Business and Workforce Development to incorporate our usually standalone strategic plans into one planning framework. This approach will provide us a new unified vision, informed by the community, and provide a roadmap for the thoughtful and intentional future growth of our city. This is an opportunity for innovation, to think across departments and create smarter and more strategic planning for our future. Our beloved Fletcher Free Library also has exciting news this year. Yeah, right? They are moving forward under the steady leadership of Director Mary Danko on important preservation work for the historic Carnegie Building. Exciting things are underway at the Memorial Block. As elected leaders in this moment, it is our job to provide clarity and stability, especially as the federal administration evokes chaos at home and abroad. And while we cannot control the actions coming out of Washington, D.C., we can be clear-eyed on our response. Our city will not back down from our commitments to equity, justice for all people. We will, thank you. And we will stand in strong solidarity with immigrants and refugees and with BIPOC and LGBTQ+ community members. We all must take an active role in creating and protecting our inclusive and diverse community. As elected leaders, as an elected leader myself, I have always chosen robust policy debate and collaborative problem solving over partisanship and personal attacks. To my colleagues around this table, I invite you to reflect on how we will model true leadership in the coming year, and how we and how we will truly engage each other. Our work is too important, especially in this critical moment within this country. How we treat each other locally and engage as a community will define us and will determine the true strength of Burlington. I hope that the faces of Burlington's youth on the walls of Contois Auditorium will serve as a reminder of why we are here today and what is at stake. I am proud of this community for continuing to lean in with concern and curiosity, for embracing complexity, and for recognizing that we are truly in this together. We each have a role to play in creating the vibrant, resilient, and thriving city that Burlington is and will continue to be. I look forward to the good work we will do together in the year ahead. Thank you very much.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Thank you, Mayor. And now, moving on to the next item on the agenda is public comment. And as is the city's practice, public comment on Organization Day is limited to the items for action on this meeting, and that is the election of the City Council President and the election of Board of Finance members. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak at public forum? If so, you may come up to the microphone. And seeing none, we will go ahead and close public forum and move on to item number 5, election of the City Council President. Are there any nominations for City Council President? Yes, Councilor Barlow.
Thank you, Sia Shad. I would like to nominate Councilor Travers for Council President. Our city rules establish the operating parameters for this body, from how we do the city's business to how we conduct ourselves, and even the meeting length. Those council rules state that the primary role of the president shall be to run our city council meetings. And to that end, I think Councilor Travers has done an exemplary job as our president this past year. I think we've all appreciated his focus on keeping our agendas and meetings to a manageable length most nights. And we have ended before or at 10:30 more times this past year than I can recall since I've been on the council. He's also been effective at both facilitating our meetings and maintaining meeting decorum, even when the discussions sometimes have gotten heated. And he's done an excellent job at making sure everyone is given opportunity to be heard equally during the debate. Outside of our meetings, Councilor Travers, as the leader of this body, has been an effective spokesperson, and representative when called upon in an official capacity or when responding to the press. A most recent example, just last week, he represented the council at the school board meeting when they were celebrating the BHS basketball championship, and he delivered remarks there. All in all, I would give Councilor Travers high marks, and I am grateful for his willingness to take on this role for another term. I hope we can all support him tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any other nominations? Yes, Councilor Bergman.
Thank you. I'm honored and pleased to nominate Carter Newbeezer for City Council President. We do this as an affirmative action, affirming our commitment to improve the collegiality and effectiveness of the City Council. We do this acknowledging that there are legitimate policy differences that may not be bridged, but we believe can be addressed in ways that maximize bipartisan cooperation and collaboration. This is what we understand that the vast majority of Burlingtonians want: a positive, collaborative council that works together to solve our problems and make this great city, a great city for the many and not just a few. And we believe that Carter has the temperament and experience to lead us there. His record as a counselor supports this assessment. Carter has reached across the aisle to maximize the whole council's buy-in. He's done this through personal outreach to individual counselors, and in his committees, his council comments are measured, and he works hard to build consensus where possible. He did this on the Ward 1 NPA Steering Committee and the City's Special Committee to review policing practices. He's done this through his candidacy for this position, focusing on the positive things we need to address to improve our working culture here at the council so we can address the fundamental issues facing our community, the budget, affordability, housing, and climate issues we know we must address and that the mayor talked about in her State of the City address. It should be no surprise to any person who has watched us carefully over the last year that we need to improve our notice for resolutions, have more consistent and predictable public comment periods, increase bipartisanship through the work of our committees, tone down the personal attacks and increase collaboration, and get our city staff home from meetings soon after their long days are due to their long days serving the public. I botched that, but I think you know what I meant to say. And so we are proud to put forward Carter to help us implement these changes. I ask you to join me in supporting Carter for Council President. Thank you.
Before we ask the clerk to call the roll, would either of these candidates have any words that they would like to offer? Councillor Newbeezer, I'll turn to you first.
Thank you, CEO Shad. My name is Carter Newbeezer. I represent Ward 1 on the City Council, and I am grateful and proud to accept the nomination for City Council President from my friend, Councilor Bergman. I'm running for City Council President in order to decrease the partisanship and personal attacks and increase the collaboration and delivering on results on issues like doubling our local investment in affordable housing, pursuing tax fairness reform, and addressing the existential threat of climate change, and creating a community that feels and is, in fact, safe. There's 5 ways that I think we can do that together. First, we need fair public notice of all resolutions. No resolution should appear on a council agenda without adequate opportunity for each caucus, the public, the media, and our neighborhood planning assemblies to substantively engage with it. Dropping significant or controversial resolutions on a meeting agenda the Thursday prior to a council meeting has bred distrust and produced worse policy outcomes and discussions for residents. Second, we need consistent and predictable public comment periods. Public comment, in my view, should be held at the same time every council meeting, unless extraordinary circumstances prevent us from doing so. Inconsistent times for public comment has decreased rather than increased participation from the public. Third, now I need a water break. Third, we must increase bipartisanship through our council committees. We see bipartisan resolutions with thoughtful compromise emerge out of committee all the time. We should move forward with making resolutions through committees our norm and not the exception. Additionally, some committee assignments are more time-intensive or hold more power than others. The Charter Change Committee and the Ordinance Committee should be 4-member committees made up of 2 members from each caucus. This approach, those 2 approaches paired, would force bipartisan collaboration and compromise. Fourth, we have to tone down the personal attacks and increase collaboration. The council president must rigorously manage public comment and council discussion to stop personal attacks, including overtly bigoted statements of any kind, while protecting free speech and the ability of councilors and the public to participate in the democratic process. The position of council president should be collaborative, nonpartisan, and objective. This includes encouraging all members to listen to and to work with one another, regardless of political party, where they land on the ideological spectrum, through steps such as information sharing, council agenda preparation, speaking time allocation, and other measures. Finally, we need a greater respect for our city staff. Agenda items requiring city staff to attend council meetings after their normal working hours should be prioritized to ensure that staff get home to their families at a reasonable hour. We should all be working to avoid staff sitting in City Hall until late into the night whenever possible. I'll conclude my remarks by sharing why I felt compelled to seek this position right now in particular. The reality is the vast majority of Burlingtonians cannot afford to buy a home and struggle to pay their rent. The median sale price of a home in Burlington is over $500,000. 60% of our residents rent, over 60%, and of those renters, 31% pay more than half of their income on their rent, not to mention a 1.5% vacancy rate in the market. Algae blooms in Lake Champlain are worsening, harming both recreation and tourism in town. Smoke from wildfires increasingly affects our ability to breathe clean air, and more unpredictable weather and extreme flooding makes it harder to grow produce in the Intervale. We have a federal government, as already mentioned, being run by a dangerous Trump administration. They have frozen federal funding that we've been promised. They are degrading our civil liberties and freedoms, and they are allowing corruption to run rampant at the federal level. We have a governor that will once again force dozens of Vermonters out of their housing to sleep in tents, and after a year of having this conversation, still no substantive plan. A governor who has failed to deliver for state employees, leading to incredibly high turnover rates and near 1,000 open positions in state government. We have a governor who is actively trying to roll back progress that we have made as a state on addressing the existential threat of climate change, and a governor who is working to privatize our public education system while refusing to take on one of the biggest culprits in the rise of costs that we've all been feeling in our property taxes, the UVM Health Network. In the midst of all these challenges, we, the City Council, must be laser focused on addressing these issues collaboratively. But too often we spend a whole lot of time, as anybody who watches council meetings, and many of you in this room know, on partisanship and personal attacks on the floor. It's time for a new generation of council leadership focused on increasing collaboration and delivering results on the issues most important to our community. Issues like doubling our investment in affordable housing, issues like pursuing tax fairness reform, addressing the existential threat of climate change, and creating a community that is and feels safe for all. I look forward to working with every member of this body in the coming year, from every political party, to do just that. Thank you.
Councilor Travers, would you like to offer some remarks?
Yes, thank you, CAO Schott. First of all, thank you for your remarks, Councilor Newbeeser. I agree with most of what you said there, and I think over the past year, you and I have developed what I would consider to be an excellent working relationship, and I look forward to our continuing to work together in the coming year. Also, thank you, Councilor Barlow, for your nomination and kind words. I'm grateful for the faith you've placed in me, that the faith this council placed in me this past year, and look forward to receiving that faith again moving forward. Serving as council president is not an easy job. Those who have held it before, and I know there's a number in attendance here, I'd like to acknowledge former council president Karen Paul, former council president Joan Shannon, former council president Max Tracy. If I missed anyone, apologies. Those were the three I saw. They know how difficult this job it is, and it's humbling to be asked to follow in their footsteps. I particularly appreciate the confidence of our newest members, Buddy Singh and Ali Schachter. I congratulate them on their elections. I could not be more excited and proud to work with you. Since becoming council president, my goal has been to lead with fairness and equity to all who serve. It is important to me that all voices feel included and heard. I've consistently hoped my efforts would help to bring us closer together, and I believe in many respects I've met the marks outlined by my colleague, Councilor Newbeezer. As noted by the mayor, we've partnered in a number of very important ways over this past year. I acknowledge, though, that the goal of togetherness remains an essential work in progress. Local politicking between Democrats and progressives has a long and storied history in our city. With the exception of our newest members, and as I thought about it, maybe you, Councilor Carpenter, all of us at this table, myself included, have contributed to the most recent chapters of the Democrat-Progressive anthology. Of course, we are going to have our moments of division. Any legislative body will. I have long felt and continue to firmly believe, however, that those of us around this table share far more in common than we have differences. First and foremost, we all have put up our hands to sacrifice valuable time away from our day jobs, friends, and families, all in service to our community. I was going to note that my daughter Lola was here. It's rare that we get together like this, but she was only here to see you get sworn in, buddy, so she left. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. Working across the aisle in the City Council should be more like working across the armrest. I appreciate the ideas raised by my colleagues on how we can better work together. Many of these ideas I've heard for the first time in recent days, and if reelected as Council President, I will remain committed, as always, to finding common ground that moves us forward. As you heard from the mayor, as you heard from Councilor Newbeezer, now in particular, as Trump-induced chaos and uncertainty outside our city seeks to sow fear and disorder, our collective focus must be on providing safety and stability for all Burlingtonians. I'd like to take a moment to actually acknowledge that we're honored to be joined. Oh, and she left too. I was going to say Attorney General Charity Clark. Even though she's here, let's give her a round of applause. So Attorney General Clark has been fighting the fight. And we all must contribute to building our bonds and strengthening relationships in City Hall and across our city to join her in those efforts. I'm deeply humbled by the support of those who believe I can continue to play a role in supporting good, responsive, and responsible governance so that as a council, in collaboration with the mayor, we can meet our obligation to defend our residents, especially our most vulnerable communities, and ensure Burlington's resilience through turbulent times. Thank you again for your nomination, Councilor Barlow, which I humbly accept, and I ask the council for your support. Thank you.
Thank you both. And now it will be time to take the poll and find out who will become the new City Council President. We will take it in alphabetical order. So first, if the clerk could please call the roll for Councilor Newbeezer as City Council President.
Councilor Barlow?
No.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Carpenter?
No.
Councilor Grant?
Yes.
Councilor Kane?
Yes.
Councilor Litwin?
No.
Councilor McKnight?
No.
Councilor Newbeezer?
Yes.
Councilor Schachter?
No.
Councilor Singh?
No.
Councilor Travers?
No.
Five ayes, 7 nays.
And that motion fails. And now let's take the roll for Councilor Travers as City Council President.
Councilor Barlow?
Yes.
Councilor Bergman?
Abstain.
Councilor Broderick?
Abstain.
Councilor Carpenter?
Yes.
Councilor Grant?
No.
Councilor Kane?
No.
Councilor Litwin?
Yes.
Councilor McKnight?
Yes.
Councilor Newbeezer?
Abstain.
Councilor Schachter?
Yes.
Councilor Singh?
Yes.
Councilor Travers?
Yes.
7 ayes, 2 nays, and 3 abstentions.
And that motion passes. Congratulations, President Travers.
Thank you, CAO Shad. We just have one item of business left on our agenda, and this is the election of the Board of Finance. For our motion on the Board of Finance, I would turn to Councilor McKnight.
Thank you. I would like to nominate a slate of Councilors Barlow, Carpenter, and Newbeezer for the Board of Finance.
Thank you, Councilor McKnight. Councilor McKnight has nominated a slate of Councilor Barlow, Councilor Carpenter, and Councilor Newbeezer. Are there any other nominations to the Board of Finance? Seeing none, we will go to a vote and try to make this a voice vote. All in favor of the slate presented by Councilor McKnight, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That carries unanimously. So congratulations to Councilor Barlow, Carpenter, and Newbeezer for joining the Board of Finance. Seeing no other business before the City Council, we will adjourn our organization day at 7:10 p.m. We will look forward to getting back to business on April 14th and look forward to working together as a council and with you, Mayor, towards that goal. Thank you very much.
You sign that.